How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Listen, I have a small job that I need to do on both sleds. It's something I've been putting off for a while. It's replacing the rubber hood latches. So let's start off. I'll show you what they look like on the MXZ 600. So we're going to be talking about these rubber hood latches. I don't know if you can see that, the way that's all cracked and split. All right, so when I bought this machine, all four of the hood latches needed to be replaced. I actually replaced the bottom two when I did my track change. And the reason I did that is that they're actually riveted from inside the tunnel, and it's to get to them, you need to remove your rear skid. So yeah, some guys will drill those lower rivets out and put the new ones in from the outside, but really the right way to do it is from inside the tunnel. So yeah, we're gonna do the top two today. And that's a little bit more work. We're going to have to take this whole console and windshield apart. So before we do that, let's go and have a look at the 670. Now, at the end of last season, I noticed both hood latches on my other machine were worn right out as well. And on this 670, they're actually broken right off. So this poor old 670 has been ignored a little bit since I got the newer sled. And I don't want to do that because it's a really nice sled. It runs really good. But there's a couple little things that I have to fix. And one of them is those hood latches. So yeah, they're rubber. They do wear out. I'm going to show you how to replace them. I'm going to replace them on this 670. On the 600, they're a lot more work to replace. So I'm going to show you that as well. But I'm also going to give you a few tips for making these things last longer. I'm going to do that after the intro. So stick around. All right, so replacing these latches isn't that difficult, but as always, I'll give you a few tips to make it a little bit easier. So the first tip is make sure you're getting the right one. So if you look at these two, so these are Skidoo hood latches. If you look at these two, they're pretty similar, right? They're the same length, they're the same shape. If you look at them this way, but when you look at them in profile, there's quite a difference. So the main difference is this part at the bottom. So this was the first one I ordered and it was the wrong one. The rivet actually didn't go through because that bottom part is a lot wider. So I ended up sticking a bolt through just as a temporary measure until I got the right one. Okay, my next tip for you guys is get the right rivet. So you're going to need something long enough to go through the plastic on the outside and the metal behind it on this sled. You need something with a really big head on it because you don't want it pulling through the rubber when you tighten it up. If you got a smaller rivet, then yeah, you could stick a washer behind it. But you know what? Every time you do one of those little hacks, God kills a puppy. Your sled ends up looking junky. I always like to use the right parts. So you know what? If you've got an older sled, you're going to be working on it anyway. So when you're in the dealership, grab a handful of the rivets that you need to fix different things on your sled. So yeah, I used a silver rivet. I wasn't thinking, I just don't like the way this looks. So I'm going to take this out and put the right one in. All right, you have your hood latch, you got your rivet. Now you want to make sure you get the right drill bit. So we've got a 3/16 rivet. We want a 3/16 drill bit. You don't want anything too big because if you make that hole that the rivet goes through bigger, then that rivet might pull through. And there we've got that one out. Now you should have a little bit of give to turn these after they're installed. But if you want to, you could put the latch there, line it up and mark the sides. But I think I can see where the old one was. There's enough of a mark on here already. We're just going to put this rivet in. Now, these are pretty heavy rivets. They can actually take a fair bit of pressure to break. Okay, so if you have an older sled, sooner or later, those hood latches, whether it's synthetic rubber or natural rubber, they're still rubber. They're all prone to the same kind of deterioration. So sooner or later, they're going to wear out. They're going to split, they're going to crack, they're going to break, and you're going to need to replace them. So I can give you a few tips to make them last a little bit longer. Now, when I was doing the research for this video, I called a couple of sled dealers, but I actually called rubber manufacturers as well, because I wanted to find out a little bit more about the properties of rubber and how to make it last longer. Okay, my first tip for you, any rubber component on the sled, you want to make sure that you keep it clean. I would say just wash it with warm soap and water. The other thing is certain chemicals like brake cleaner can break rubber down. So if you're using them around the sled to clean metal components, just make sure you're not getting any of that overspray on the hood latches. The other thing that'll break rubber down faster is ultraviolet radiation. So if you're storing your sled outside, make sure it's covered up from the sun. Use something like a 303 aerospace protectant on rubber components because it has a UV blocker in it. The other tip I've got for you is when you're storing the sled for the summer, just undo the hood latches. They don't need to hold the hood closed while it's being stored, so then you're taking that tension off and that rubber's not stretched. All right, so pretty easy to change the hood latches on one of these old S chassis 670s. Let's go have a look at my MXZ 600, because the Rev chassis, the way they design the hood latches, it's a little bit more work to change them. All right, the top straps on this machine are riveted to the frame underneath this piece of plastic, which is why it's a little bit more work to change them. So I'm hoping we can get away without removing everything from the machine. So we're going to loosen the windshield and tilt it back a little bit. We've got a couple of screws to take out of the plastic up here and in the front. There's a little retaining ring underneath the gas cap that holds this down as well. So we're going to go ahead and loosen all this up and see if we got enough room to work. These are T15. The other ones were T20. All right, so basically I took the screws out. There's about 6 screws holding this console piece together. You have to loosen the windshield if you have this style of windshield. What a process. Anyway, getting this stuff all loose, then I can turn this top piece of plastic enough. I still can't get at the rivet from this side, but what I just realized is that I can get at the rivet down through the hole that goes over the gas cap. So when I get that one done, I'll just turn it and get this one. All right, I got the hood latches replaced. All I have to do is put this plastic back together, put a couple of screws in, and I'm done. Okay, so the hood latches are going to be slightly different from machine to machine. So if you look at these ones on my friend's Polaris Indy, they look a lot different than these ones, but it's the same idea, right? It's a piece of rubber that holds that hood down. Now, they use rubber, by the way, because of the amount of vibration these things are subjected to. So if there was just a standard metal hood latch, it would probably vibrate loose. So that's how you replace the hood latches on your snowmobile and how you can make them last a little bit longer. I hope you liked that video. If you did, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you like videos just like this one, click subscribe, click the little bell icon. You'll get notified whenever I post a new video. All right, so that's it for me. Until next time, I'm David Clark. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Keeping the rubber parts of the sun covered, rubber parts of the sun. And you can use something like a 303 aerospace protectant or something that's got a UV block. Blah.